the way Francois and I knew each other was that we kind of worked for the same boss. I mean, he worked on Dave's cars, and I knew Francois, and it was like this whole thing. So work for Dave. Whenever there was off time, we would chat about cars, and then I would go to Francois on the weekends or on Fridays and work on it. So it was always in this whole world of cars. But at the same time, like I said, I went to art school with study photography, so I ended up in television just because of the connections I made through school, and just fell into television and was really enjoying it. And I could have stayed there forever. Right. I mean, I would probably be working for Stephen Colbert right now if I had stayed.
Right.
But I didn't, and I just said now's the time to make the move, and everything kind of fell in place. And I told Dave, I think it's time for me to go. I don't think he was really happy about it, but at the same time, you got to do it.
But he's a car guy, so he had to kind of understand.
Kind of did.
He kind of sort of.
Dave is still the king.
He's the king.
You're leaving him, so it's just like
nobody leaves me.
Yeah. Well, that's a whole other story.
I got
at the same time, I did what I did.
Sure, I got to imagine though, being the audio engineer. I mean, all the great artists that you probably got to work with over the years. How wonderful is that? I mean, I know there was mundane stuff where you're just mixing voices, but
what I did was my job was what they call second audio. So I was stage audio.
Right.
So my job was to basically liaison with all the bands that came in. So a semi would show up, and we basically put on a rock show every day.
Wow.
And then we'd set it up, tear it down, put it away, load the truck. Next day, another truck would go in.
Wow.
And then my other job was to deal with all the wireless microphones that were involved on the stage. So anybody who wore microphones, I had to put them on. So before the show would start, I'd be going up to the dressing room. So I used to tell people that I would meet all the stars that would be sitting at Dave's desk, and I'd have to meet them all, and that was my occupational hazard. Was I actually had to go up there and talk to them, and, put microphones on and run them up, their dresses.
Awkward, a little awkward, stuff. Or not.
I was kind of like a doctor. I was like a gynecologist. Like it sounds like a cool job, but it's actually not that fun. But the thing is, in my 20s, it was a blast. I mean, it was got to work with all the rock bands, and you got to do all that stuff backstage. And again, it was a great gig. I just think that I liked working on Ferraris more.
Right. What was the top of Letterman's collection at that time? What would have been his piece de resistance?
Well, he was building his collection about the same time I was working for him. So Francois was advising him on everything. So he bought like a 500 Super Fast. He bought a 400 Super America. He had a 330 GTS, GTC. I mean, he bought like everything.
Right.
I mean, and he bought them right.
The Classic Auto Mall Show with their host, Stewart Howden.